We're caught, right, in this way of being. And as we start to see something different, we see a deeper truth. Where you are now, like, how do I move forward? What is the best plan? What is the best way to go? And following what your heart wants. We've all come here with a divine purpose, traveling on a stream of cosmic dust from the stars into our mother's wombs, born into this precious life. It is no accident that you are here, my love, on earth, in this moment, in this body. You are here longing to find your place, to align with your purpose, to embody your passions and to live into the dreams of your heart. Yet so often we get caught, suspended in the tangle of life, not able to move forward, not able to find solace and comfort in a world that has forgotten the truth of our existence. As we begin to remember, as we peel back the layers, as we come together to uncover our unique gifts and reconnect with our authentic selves, we are able to see another way of being, a new possibility, a different life waiting to be lived. I have experienced on this complicated and wild journey of life that when we connect with the story of our soul, it will show us the magic of this life that we have been missing. It will open a window into the very heart of who we truly are, of who we came here to be, and gives us answers to our ever-asking why. Hello, beautiful souls. Thanks for being here again. Another wonderful episode. Before we dive in, I want to remind you of Ignite Your Intuition for those of you that are looking to go deeper on this journey of really uncovering your truth and authenticity. I think it begins with trusting ourselves, trusting our knowing, right? That part inside of us that is so wise and always knows underneath, yet we have just covered it up with our life experience and are choosing things and tolerating things that are no longer in alignment for the life that we are intended. And so Ignite Your Intuition takes you through a process that really can uncover and help you see ways that you are disconnected from your intuition and how you can strengthen that muscle, that part of you that really does know and holds so much wisdom. So there's a link in the show notes. Check that out. For our call today, Angela is here with us, and she is, like so many of us, juggling so many things. She has a corporate career in marketing that she's very successful, has worked hard to reach where she's at. She is also exploring her intuitive gifts and has begun giving readings as a side job. She has 3 beautiful children, is in a loving relationship, and is committed to her spiritual path. However, all these things are making it a little overwhelming to navigate her life. And I know so many of you understand this place and know that things need to change. And yet we've created a life that we love in many other areas, yet things are beginning to unravel a little bit, and we really don't know which way to go because we're not fully seated in something new, and yet our old life is fading away, and we're caught in this in-between space, not knowing what the path is forward. So we dive into a conversation just to really exploring where Angela's priorities are, what she's choosing, what can she give space for, what can she look at and change in a more sort of practical sense. But then we get a little deeper as the call unfolds, and we start to see the way that she grew up and the relationship with her parents. We start to see how this is influencing what she is choosing today, and how this deep, deep need to prove something and to feel safe and secure is keeping her from following her heart and doing the things that she would like to do that are different and that maybe don't follow such a traditional path anymore. So for those of you that are in this place, right, where you're living between two worlds almost, where you're still finishing out one way of being as you're exploring and moving into this new way of being, this call can give you some tools, some insight, some places to look within yourself for what are the things that you're bumping up against? What are the things that are operating inside of no time, no space that are still operating or still influencing your choices today and your decisions today? And then we round out the call really leaning into this idea that joy, happiness, doing what you love, creating time for yourself, for your children if you have them, is really just such potent medicine and will always lead you to the truth of your heart and to the authentic purpose that you are here to share with the world. Also, as the show is reaching its 4-year mark, we are really committed to having it touch more people's lives. People just like you that need a little more support, need some direction, need a place to anchor themselves. And so in an effort to do this, we are looking for ratings and reviews because this is one of the main ways that shows can grow. And so we are reaching out to you, our devoted listeners, to help us with this project. So what we are doing is hosting a giveaway, and the prizes are free intuitive readings with me, held privately. So similar to the podcast, yet you get alone time with me to process, to receive guidance, understanding, work through your challenges, not recorded, not on air. Doing these mini readings is one of my favorite things that I do, and I would love to offer this space to you. So to enter for the giveaway, and we're giving away 2 free calls to 2 different winners. And as a third prize, we are offering you the choice of our Intuitive Soul Awakening self-study course or the Activate the Intuitive Language of Your Soul self-study course. So lots of ways to win. And to enter, all you need to do is rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or both if you really want to show us the love. And if you can give us a heartfelt testimonial about what the show has meant to you and leave us a 5-star review, then take a quick screenshot of your review and upload it to our Google form, which you will find in the show notes. And the giveaway will run for a little over 2 weeks, starting today through February 16th. Thank you so much for your support and for helping the show to reach more listeners so we can touch more people's lives and really go deep on this journey together. We appreciate you. Hi, Angela. Welcome to the show. How can I help you today?
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I'm really honored to be here. So my question is about my life's purpose and what the next step is in my career. I have an MBA and I work in a corporate marketing career. I also have 3 little kids at home, and I'm just really struggling with what's my next career move. So like I said, I'm in the corporate world, but about 4 or 5 years ago, I really started going down my own spiritual journey and learned about my own spiritual gifts. So I do akashic records readings for people on the side. I also do human design readings, and it's something I feel really passionate about. I love helping people explore their true inner selves and getting the answers from the akashic records and from human design. And so my question today is really, should I be pursuing my own business doing human design and akashic records reading, or should I be continuing down my corporate career path, which I am very successful in? And I do like it, but there are times when I feel frustrated and I want to have more time and flexibility to own my own schedule and be my own boss. So I feel like going down the entrepreneurial route is something that has really called me. And whenever I ask this question to spirit, I just kind of keep hearing the time will come and you're on the right path. But I just struggle with really identifying what is that path and what that timing looks like for me.
Yeah, thank you. So, as you're talking, what's happening for me, it's like as if somebody's flashing a big spotlight on me. And it's almost like, oh, I want to turn away from it. It's too bright. Like, stop it, stop it. That's messing with my mind. And it's really making me feel like a little nauseous. It's making me feel like I want to hide and short of breath too. So when I connect into that, right, with you, it's like, it's this bigger part of you that's waking up. And it's, just make sure this is coming in correctly for you, okay? So it's like for a long time, you wore these blinders, kind of like how a horse would wear, and you're veiled from the truth of the world, and you're on a career path, and you're caught up in the system. And then now you've opened yourself to something deeper, something bigger. And the word is like detox, right? With these bright lights, this feeling, there's this detox process that you're in from one version of reality as your body is sort of descending into this other version of reality. And it's like you're having these symptoms as this is happening. So I'm curious, how's your health? How is your ability to kind of live in your life in a way that you feel healthy?
I would say I think my physical health is good. I don't have any medical issues or concerns that I know about. I try to eat healthy and exercise. I do yoga. I think my mental health, though, has been suffering the past few months with stress and wanting to slow down and wanting to have a more fun and joyous and carefree life. Like I said, I have three kids, they're elementary school age. And so they're out of the baby and toddler years where now we can actually have conversations. We can do fun things together. But I feel like between my husband and I just being all wrapped up in that system that you said, I liked how you said that we're caught up in the system of busyness and corporate jobs and the priorities of your corporate job and the ego of trying to climb up the corporate ladder. My husband just got a big promotion at work and he's never around. Well, he's not around as much anymore and he's all stressed out and it causes me to be stressed out. So I would say the mental health piece is something that I'm really trying to work on. I try to meditate and journal and go out for walks, but I recognize when I don't prioritize myself and those parts of my day, I get very overwhelmed. I get very caught up in my head and I forget about slowing down and listening to myself and figuring out what I need.
Yeah, you and so many people, my love, we're caught, right, in this way of being. And as we start to see something different, we see a deeper truth. Where you are now, like, how do I move forward? What is the best plan? What is the best way to go? And following what your heart wants. And the way that the lights were and the way that I felt, it's significant. Like, it wasn't like a little just poke. It was really sort of like, wow, your soul was struggling in the sense of wanting something different, right? And the way that you're trying to shape it and mold it to fit what you think you need to do gets to be looked at. What's the biggest thing keeping you from just quitting and following your business dream?
I would say finances. And I know that our family can make different choices so that we could go down to my husband's income. But I think that would come with a lot of sacrifices. It would mean selling our house, our current home, and downsizing. And I also feel like I've worked so hard in the corporate world to achieve what I have achieved and get that level of lifestyle that I've worked hard to obtain and provide the opportunities for my kids that I'm just not at a place right now where I want to downsize and sacrifice some of those things because I've lived that life before, right? I've done the struggling and the sacrificing, and I feel like we're financially at a place where we can live very, very well. But if I quit my job, it would mean going back to that lifestyle of saving more and scrimping and not having as many opportunities. So that's another thing I struggle with as well, like giving my kids the vacations and the other opportunities that come with the financial awards of being in a corporate job. And I know it's short term. It doesn't have to always be like that, but right now it's something that I don't feel like I'm ready to give up.
Yeah. I get that. It's a scary place to sort of give away all that you've created for something that you have no idea what it's going to be. And that when we have kids, it's even more so because then we want to provide and give to our kids. So, yeah, I hear you with this place that you're at. So, what they're showing me, right? Like one of the ways I work with things, if you're at a crossroad, is I'll put out paths for you that go to different things. And then there's a path to corporate, which actually looks very short. And then there's a path to this readings and spiritual business. But then what they're doing is there's another path that they're adding. And they're saying, like, you don't even know what you don't know yet. And that you're limiting yourself by looking at it as I have to stay in corporate or I'm going to quit and go down this path of readings. They're showing this other path as saying that there's actually a lot more possibilities and options than you're allowing into your space. And nobody can tell you to leave. Like I could tell you today, oh, you have to quit your job. The way those lights were, blah, 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 right? But no matter what I tell you, you've got to come to the place in your own experience, in your own being, right? And who am I to know that it's best for you to quit your job? I don't live your life. And I say I'm channeling information for you. But at the same time, right, there is this line of, well, what is spirit truly saying to you versus what is actually possible in your life? Because possibility state is great, right? It's totally possible that you could quit your high paying corporate job and in a matter of months be making the same income doing something more spiritually aligned. Totally, that's a possibility state. But is that a possibility state that you could actualize based on your circumstances and the way the world is and all the things? We don't know. So it's like I see you in this in-between space where you don't know the answer yet. I see like the cogs of a clock working. Like there's a divine timing that's happening underneath the surface that is creating pathways for you that are beyond just these two that we're talking about today. So you aren't going to quit your job until you are ready to quit your job, right? Like that's ultimately what I'm hearing. Like that has to come from deep inside you that you're ready to take that step. You're still on the fence about it is the way I see it. There's a lot of it that you still like, that you really love the lifestyle that it provides you and the ability to care for your children in the way that you desire to. And so that's super important to you right now. And your kids are young. I get that, right? But then there's this other side of you that is saying, hey, pay attention, keep following the signs. Let me guide you. Let me lead you. Let me show you the way that this is going to unfold. Don't waste more energy trying to make a decision in this moment. It's like you haven't reached that place yet where the decision is there. Things are still coming together underneath the surface so that the opportunity is there for you when you are ready for it. It's like you're not quite ready and the opportunity's not quite ready. So just kind of enjoy what you have created and focus on the things that you love doing. The mental health part, I think, is important to put some attention towards, and what support can you get? How can you be resourced? How can you learn more tools, right, to support yourself in this place as you're transitioning? So I talked for a long time there. I'd love to hear how that's landing for you, what your reflection is.
Yeah, it resonates, definitely. I've also heard that term divine timing, and I think in a way I feel impatient because I just don't know where I should be focusing my time and energy right now. I just feel pulled in so many different directions between my family, doing well in the corporate job, doing the readings, which I find to be a creative outlet for me. So I do enjoy doing that work. And then also prioritizing myself. So I just feel like I'm pulled in so many directions. So where should I focus my time and energy? I know I don't want to be all up in my head about it and trying to have a perfect plan in place that I need to follow. I don't need that perfect plan, and I will continue to try to surrender and trust that I'm on the right path, but I struggle with like where I should focus.
Well, as you say those things, right? Your corporate job, your spiritual business, yourself, your family, I don't see them as separate. Like, you can't, like, not focus on your job. You can't not focus on your kids or yourself or your new career. Like, doing that would unbalance everything, right? Because you want all those things in your life. So they all need to be prioritized in order to stay in your life. Because once we stop prioritizing something, then it starts to fade away. So I don't see you as prioritizing one of those things unless you particularly want something else to fade away, which I'm not hearing you say that. Am I correct with that?
You are correct. But I guess I feel like I'm so overwhelmed with all of those priorities and all of those responsibilities.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
And there have been times where I tried to put the spiritual business away, deprioritize that so I can focus on my corporate career or the family and the kids. And I agree they're all a part of me, but I also wonder why I keep reaching for more and more and more. Why can't I be happy with where I am now? Like, do I need to do the spiritual stuff now? Not that it's draining me, but I don't feel like I have enough time and energy for everything.
So you, my love, are in a choice point. You have to choose between your corporate job and your spiritual world in some capacity, right? It doesn't have to be an all or nothing, but maybe it's a part time. Like, if you can't keep keeping all the balls in the air, then you have to change something. So, like, I know we're kind of taught we can have it all. I think those were the words you used. Yet, I feel like we get trapped in a way, like, because right now you have it all except your mental health, except your happiness, right? Like, except clarity. So I feel like when we say we can have it all, I feel like this is an illusion and a delusion that people are feeding us. It's not really how life is. We can be peaceful. We can have great relationships. We can be doing work that we love. But when we're put into situations where your mental health is struggling because you're trying to hold all of it together, I would say that somebody is feeding you an untruth about the fact that you even want all that. And I don't mean somebody like personally, but just like media, like a narrative that comes in and says, you have to do all these things because that means then you have it all. And in my experience, devotion and sacrifice are the things that change our life. And if you're not ready to leave corporate yet, then double down on it, right? If you want to have the resources and the security that it provides, then go that route and leave the spiritual business behind, because it's going to give you a little less stress that way. But if you want to live a deeper life, like this part of you, right, that is coming up that's saying, hey, you have these gifts and you want to do something with them. Maybe it's not helping others with them right now. Maybe there's some other way that that can look that isn't as time consuming and takes the same amount of your energy. Like there's got to be this wiggle room. Like I sense you're like, well, I want it all, which is great, right? I love the motivation and the energy that you bring, but at the same time, it's depleting you. There's only so long you can go on doing that before something will break.
Yeah, I'm curious about where that third path will take me.
I know there's not showing me anything. That's the thing. It's like, it's just more of a metaphor for that there's something else you're not even seeing yet, but it requires you to find your authentic truth. If working this job is your authentic truth, then go all in on it. But if you're doing it because you're scared to not have money, that's definitely a place to explore at a deeper level, because that just means you're caught in the system. And I'm not saying that's your truth. I'm just offering ways for you to look at it differently. Like, what are your motivations? Why do you need to do so much? What's underneath that?
I think there's a bit of it around needing to prove myself.
How was your relationship with your dad?
It was good when I was younger. He was someone who I always looked up to and went to for advice. And I feel like as I've grown older, we haven't talked as much. He's still very much a part of my life, but we don't have the same type of conversations that we did when I was younger.
What changed?
I think in a way I got closer to my mom and I recognized some of her shortcomings and what made her the way she was. And then maybe I put some of that blame on my dad.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
I think my mom struggled with some depression when I was like in high school. And it had to do with, I think she does have the victim mentality, but a lot of it, she put that blame on my dad. And then I just saw him in a different light.
Mm-hmm. When you say you're trying to prove yourself, if you were to choose a parent, who would you be trying to prove yourself to?
Probably my mom, because my dad was the one who gave me the unconditional love. And my mom was the person who nothing was ever good enough for. Nothing I ever did met her expectations.
Yeah, and then as we grow up, those parts of us, right, that are conditioned to seek love by doing and by how much we can accomplish, we get stuck in that cycle of making choices that are trying to soothe the part of us that wasn't seen, that wasn't approved of when we were young. Have you done much work around this part of you?
A little bit. I've done a lot of work in not being so codependent on both my parents, but particularly my mom, and recognizing some of those patterns. And I think the work that I'm working on now is releasing some of the perfectionism and unrealistic expectations that I hold for myself.
Yeah. You know, they're showing me this is your portal, right? This is the place to prioritize, because the life you've built is built on the wounding of this, right? This codependency, this relationship, the way that it got set up with your parents and everything that happened. And that's the foundation that you've built what you have on. And it's what's causing you, it's the place you're choosing from, right? So it's a distorted place. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
The deeper you go in here and the more you clean this up, your decision is going to get really clear because it's going to be based on what is actually correct for you rather than what's correct for you trying to please your parents. And so it's fuzzy for you right now because you're just caught in, a loop of conditioning. And so it's really hard for you to imagine letting go of certain things because this story tells you that you will not be loved. This story is even underneath the money.
That's interesting because when I was about 10, my dad did leave his corporate job and started his own business. And I think my parents did struggle for those years while he was building his business. I told my dad I was thinking of starting my own business. He's like, go for it. Just do it. Quit your job. Go for it. And maybe some of this is not necessarily the approval piece, but maybe some of the financial piece of what my own parents went through because my mom never worked. She was always a stay-at-home mom. But my dad, he single-handedly made those decisions himself to leave his corporate career and branch out on his own.
Yeah, and what I see in that, right, is that there's maybe a part of you that thinks there's a weakness in your mother because she kind of had to put up with your dad's choices. And maybe she could have done something different and then you wouldn't have struggled as much. And if she hadn't just blamed your dad for everything, but had maybe taken accountability for something, your childhood could have been different. And so long as you are juggling all the balls and keeping the money coming in and overextending yourself, then at least you're not weak like she was. You have some say, you have control over the situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some tender parts of you that are playing out below the surface in this decision.
Yeah, I think that's something that's driving me, wanting to have control, wanting to have the say, to be able to make my own decisions and not be seen as weak.
Yeah, and I mean, being in a corporate environment, that's a very strong place for a woman to be successful there, right? Like you count, you matter, you've made something of yourself. And then if you go and follow this kind of spiritual whimsy stuff, what does that say about you and your strength and who you are? Like this character that you've built.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that as well. The judgment, but that's a piece that I have done a lot of work on, that judgment and criticism from others.
Mm. And ultimately, right, judgment and criticism of others usually ends up that it's our own judgment and criticism that we're facing.
Yes.
Well, how can I support you from this place?
I think there is some of that work I need to do around needing to seek my mom's love and approval and building a new foundation or having a new story around what I can accomplish and who I am in my own authentic truth.
Mm. Just going to see if they have any last messages for you. So, did you have brothers or sisters?
One younger brother.
So how there were three paths, and now they're showing me like three. It's that idea of, that magic trick where you put the ball under one cup and then you mix them around and someone's got to guess where it is. They're showing that, and it's again the number three. And then you said you have three children, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it feels like there's this synergy or kind of place of exploration where three, right, is a significant number, the Trinity, the divine connection. Like three is such a magical number in so many ways that what's going to help you through this is to connect more with your children. And it's like that having fun, right? Like the magic trick and the spending time with them. And even when you don't have time, it's like, we'll make time. Like figure out time isn't really real anyway, right? It's just something we created so that we can get to meetings and make trains on time. It's like play in divine timing and magic timing and cyclical timing. And so they're bringing me back around, and you wanted to know where to focus your energy, where to put your attention. And we kind of explored all over in many different ways, different ideas and theories. And what they're landing with is if you're going to choose something, it's to prioritize yourself and your children and to be more childlike. So, like spending time with them, not as an adult, as a child, in the sense of like play and enjoyment and snuggles and stories and, I don't know, hot cocoa and walks together and whatever they like to do. Be enmeshed in that with them. Like they're showing me the game Twister. Like do silly things with your kids, right? They're at such fun ages. I have elementary school kids, so it's such a great time. And it's like be in that magic with them. Let them show you the truth of the universe because they're so still connected to it. They haven't lived lives that have made them separate and disconnected. They still are like in the fabric. So let them be your teachers. Let them show you the path through interconnectedness and joy.
I love that. Yeah, that resonates with me so much because I do feel like that pressure to build my business or do my job, I'm always kind of brushing them aside. And in a way, I feel like I'm doing this work for them so that we can have the fun family experiences, but I'm not capitalizing and leveraging just the normal everyday at home time together.
Yeah. And in my experience, when we prioritize those things, the other things have a way of working themselves out. My life is a living example of that. Making the choice that seemed the hardest, but the most committed to my heart. Does this feel like an okay place to land today?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.